Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Arps, and if you're new here, which you are new here because I'm new here, this is actually my very first YouTube video. I am a reader of books. I'm a 40-something year old reader of books, and mainly fiction books and mainly romance novels. And so I'm here to kind of give an in-depth review of books that I'm mainly finding them through TikTok right now, because there's like a huge TikTok, following of people who are just reading a ton of romance novels and reviewing them. And I found that the reviews are very helpful, but they're not like as in-depth as I would like. So if you want a little bit more of an explanation without giving away any kind of plots or endings, or I don't want to like spoil anything for anybody, but I want to get as much in depth as I can into characters and what I think of them, and the writing and plots and tropes and different narratives, and just I'll give you honest reviews. I don't think that it's fair to fall into traps of hundreds and thousands of people who read books just because they've become popular and they're really not great books. So if they're not great books, I'll rate them. I'll give them like between a 1 and a 5 rating. Just my opinion, but I'll rate them and I'll be honest, because if consumers spend a lot of money on books are not cheap. They can be very expensive, especially if you're going through a book in a few days or in a week. I mean, it starts to really, really add up. So, there's no reason to fall into the trap of buying a book and reading it just because, a ton of people online fell onto some bandwagon and they think it's great, but it's not. So if everybody loves it and I don't love it, I'm going to tell you I don't love it. So, but also keep in mind, I'm a 40-something-year-old, so my perspective is obviously going to be different from the majority of people who read these types of books. I think that's probably younger, especially the two that I'm reviewing today. I found them both on TikTok. They are very different from one another. They're very, very different types of books, different types of writing, definitely different storylines. And, but I enjoy it. And my perspective, I understand, is going to be different from someone who's 20-something years old and reading this book. So keep that in mind as well. First one that I'm going to go into is called The Love Hypothesis. Okay, written by Ali Hazelwood. You can tell from the cover, it's kind of like a fluff romance, which is fine. I don't have anything against these types of romances. I actually kind of prefer them. It depends on my mood, right? What type of mood I'm in. If I'm in a fluff, happy-go-lucky type of romance story, then, it's like a cool, like, beach read, vacation read. I didn't buy this because of TikTok. I bought this years ago while I was on my way on vacation. I bought it at the airport, which is something I love to do. I definitely can't be alone in this. Like, I will travel with a book ready to go for my vacation, and then I'll get to the airport and I'll buy another book. So that's how I got this one. I actually bought this, I think, back in 2021, 2022 maybe, when it was first published, and didn't read it. Bought it, took it on vacation with me, wherever I was going, I don't even remember, and brought it back and put it back there on my bookshelf. Never read it. And then I was on Book Talk, and I came across a lot of people were reviewing it. And I was like, hey, I have this book. Maybe I should just pick it up and read it. So that's what I did. And we're going to review it. Disclaimer. I'm not giving anything away, but this is how I like to read books. And if you're watching this and this is something that you do, can you please comment and tell me that you do this as well, so that I don't think that I'm crazy, that I don't think that I'm nuts, because and I do this mainly because I read fiction I don't really like nonfiction. There's a lot of nonfiction back there on my shelf. But that's because my husband is a huge nonfiction, self-help, autobiography reader. So I can't even tell him that I do this because I think he's gonna think I'm crazy. More so than he already does probably. But I cast my characters in my novel that I'm reading in my mind with real people, like actors mainly, sometimes, I don't know, musicians, sometimes athletes. But I cast them with real people in my mind, and I have to do that before I can like really get into the characters. So I'll pick up a book. Obviously, I'm reading the back cover, and then I'll start reading and I'll meet the character for the first time. And, you know, authors are pretty good about like describing what characters look like and everything. And so I'll meet them, and, you know, a couple of lines in, I'll start to kind of get a feel, maybe just a glimpse into like what their characters are like. And I cast them in my mind, in ARPA's fictional world of, you know, casting. So for this one, The Love Hypothesis, we have our main character, Olive. Okay, Olive is a graduate student in STEM, which I had to Google because I'm not in the sciences field. It's not what I do for a living. So STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. So she is a graduate student at Stanford in STEM, in research. And the male lead in this book is Adam Carlson, who is a up and coming, well, not up and coming, he's already there. He's like a hotshot, like big deal professor. Okay, so as Adam, I casted. Actually, let's start with Olive. For Olive, I casted Dakota Johnson, and just because she's very cute and she's very quirky and could play like that nerdy character really well, but also has like a very like kind of like a sexiness to her as well. So we've got her for Olive, okay? And then for the male lead, for Adam Carlson, Professor Carlson, we have Matthew Good. Hear me out. Now, the main character in this book, Adam, he's not British, okay? Matthew Good is very British. I don't even think and he's an actor, for those who don't know, for those who are not 40-some years old. I don't think I've ever actually seen anything he's done where he hasn't had a British accent. I don't even know if he can do an American accent. Anyway, he's from, and the reason he was kind of fresh in my mind when I was casting was because I just finished watching A Discovery of Witches, where he also plays a professor-ish, I think, a vampire professor, I don't know. And it was like, and you read just the way that Adam is, just his character, it's very like stoic and very quiet. He's like a man of few words. And it's got like Matthew Good written all over. You know, he's not like, I think in the story he's from the Netherlands, or I think he's Dutch. So that's his like background. But he's an American in the novel. But in my mind, in my imaginary, in my fictional depiction of what happened here, he's British. And it works. It works. So, sue me. Okay. What do we got here? As far as trope, we've got fake relationship, fake boyfriend turns into ... We've got, it's a very slow burn. It's a very like, oh, we're friends. He drives me nuts. Like that kind of relationship that then develops into something else. So yeah, I would definitely say this is a very slow burn kind of romance. It's not very spicy. There's some steam that comes out of the book. It's pretty far in. You don't get it right away. But I think it was for this particular story and the way that it was written, it fit. It was enough. It was enough of a, it was enough spice. If you're someone who's into like a lot of spice, like if we've got to rate this as far as like chili peppers go, and I don't know, 5 being like the spiciest, I would give it a 2 or 3. Not much. It's a very like fluffy romance. What I liked, I really, really liked the dialogue between the 2 main characters. And that to me, if that's not there, I have a really hard time finishing a book, or I have a really hard time like being involved and really just buying into a relationship between the leads. If that, like, I don't know, if that dialogue is just cheesy, or it's corny, or like the flirting just isn't there, I have a hard time getting into it. But this was good. It was not too much. It was just enough. So that was written really well. It's a nice plot. It's like a, it's got enough. I wouldn't, it's a nice like beach vacation by the pool read. You don't really, it's not something where you're taking notes and you've got, 5,000 characters, but it's just enough where it's going to keep you engaged, and you're not going to get bored with the plot. Let's just put it that way. So, my issues with it, and I have 2. That's it. The first one being, and I don't know if it's because there's like a huge age gap between the male and female lead, but because, Olive is a graduate student. So she's like, I think early or mid 20s. And Adam is a professor. So he's, I think, in his 30s. And so there's, you got like a 10-year age gap. And her interactions with him sometimes, but mainly with her best friend in the novel and her roommate, and when they get together, it's slightly juvenile. But keep in mind, I'm older, so maybe if I'd read this book like, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have been, it would have been on par for me. But me being, where I am, her interactions were slightly juvenile. But her interactions with Adam are okay. So that was that. Another issue I kind of had, which became distracting towards the end, is, so I get what the writer is doing here. I think the writer is really trying to push female independence and the value that females need to have in STEM and in research and in academia. I think the writer's background is academia. And you can tell that she's really trying to push this whole, like, women need to be more important, and as they should be. And I am, in real life, I'm someone who works I'm a female working in a very male dominated field. And so that resonated with me. I understood that. I understood the importance of trying to push that narrative. But then she turns around and makes her female character very, like, apologetic. Like, she's always apologizing. And it got to the point a little bit towards the end where I was like, God, just like stop saying sorry. Like, you're not sorry. Don't be sorry. So that was just a slight problem that I had with the female character. But overall, the ending's really cute. It's, it's like a happy ending. It's not dark. There's not really much darkness. I mean, the female lead does have some struggles. You don't really get too much into Adam's background, but as far as like his like personal family background, you don't get a lot of that. You get a little bit of background for Olive, and she's struggled some and overcome some stuff. And but it's, you know, no trigger warnings. It's not a dark read. It's not, you know, I think if you're looking for something light, something fun, something quick, but got enough substance to it and a little bit of spice, definitely. I would give this like a 4 out of 5. Let's give this 4 stars. So, Love Hypothesis, 4 stars. Allie Hazelwood. I need a break before I get into the next book. So, BRB. All right. Okay. Next book. And I'm just gonna start. Where am I gonna start? I'm gonna start by saying I don't typically read books like this. And by this I mean like the spice level on this was high. I would say I would give it, I don't know, maybe a 4.55 chilies out of 5. Like the spice level on this book was high. And I had fair warning going into it because I found this one on TikTok. A lot of people were reviewing it. A lot of people were like losing their minds over it. And so I thought, okay, let me just pick it up and give it a shot. So this is Credence by Penelope Douglas. And this book is a darker read. A few trigger warnings here. This one is follows your lead character. Her name is Tiernan DeHaas. And she, I mean, this isn't really much of a spoiler alert because it happens very early on in the book, and it's like a thick book, and it's like you got, it's a lot. So a lot happens. So she loses her parents and ends up going to live in Colorado in the mountains with her uncle, Jake, and his sons. He's the step uncle, so they're not like blood related. Let's keep that one in mind. Okay. So I call them the Vanderberg boys, Jake and his 2 sons, Noah and Caleb. So let's cast them. Okay. So for Tiernan, I thought immediately, for some reason, Florence Pugh. I hope I'm saying that right. Just a darker female lead. She's not bubbly. She's like tragically beautiful. She's just like this. She's got a lot of torment. Doesn't speak much in the beginning. Like she doesn't really verbalize much at all in the beginning. So I thought of Florence Pugh for her. And then for the first Vanderberg, the Uncle Jake, I thought of Joel Kinnaman. And I don't know, I kind of struggled with my decision halfway through because I was like, I just don't know if he's like old enough and like rough enough. I don't even know why I thought of Joel Kinnaman. He just came to mind because he's just like a big Dutch. I think he's Dutch. I don't know. Maybe he's not Dutch. Maybe he's Nordic. He's some type of Nordic. I don't know. He came to mind because the character is just like Jake is just so like large. But I don't know. Halfway through in reading it, I thought I should have probably picked someone a little more like burly and a little more like outdoorsy. Joel Kinnaman is not that for me. Look him up. I think he's RoboCop, the new one. So anyway, Joel Kinnaman plays Jake in my mind. And then for Noah, we have Austin Butler, who I think is one of the Elvises. I don't know. He's younger, I think. He's in Dune. He's in the new Dune that's coming out. And then for Caleb, I think I nailed this one, man. I nailed it. For Caleb, immediately, I thought of Jacob Elordi. Yes, I just watched Saltburn. But I don't know, man. I really feel like I nailed it with that one. So, Caleb is being played by Jacob Elordi in my mind. Okay. Narrative. What's our trope here? We've got it's like a reverse harem type situation, which I know you're thinking like, but wait, you said that that's her uncle. Yeah, I did. But you said that that would make Jacob and Noah her cousins. Yeah, they are. So I think that's what I struggled with a little bit in this book. I mean, keep in mind they're her step uncle and cousins, so I guess they're not like blood related, but that was like, and I knew it was going to happen, right? Like I was ready for it. I was prepared for it, but yeah. So she gets involved with the reverse harem type situation. So, main plot is she loses her parents. She gets sent to Colorado to go live with Uncle Jake and his two sons, and is snowed in for the winter because they live up in like the middle of the woods in no man's land. And yeah, some stuff happens. We're gonna leave it at that. So some things that were distracting for me. We have multiple POV. Now, some people enjoy multiple POV. For me, I don't know. If it's written right, I don't have a problem with it. This particular instance, because we have POV of like all of them. Mainly Tiernan, the female lead character, mainly her. But we've got some Jake POV, we've got some Noah POV, and at the very end, we've got Caleb. I don't know if I liked the men's point of view, because when you're reading it, it feels like a female author is writing a man's point of view. I don't know if that makes any sense. My opinion. But I didn't care for it. I think it would have been fine if she had just kept it Tiernan's point of view. Another problem that I have, the character development between Tiernan and Caleb, I think it didn't work for me. Their very, very, very first time meeting is essentially like almost sex scene. There's like no words, nothing is exchanged. And it seemed almost too non-consensual. I mean, even though it is consensual, there's no scenes of that stuff in here, but it was like really borderline. I think it would have been better had they had maybe some exchanges, like some type of exchange that wasn't sexual from the beginning. That just kind of like set me off. And then and Caleb's character is, and you know, the author writes very well in explaining that his character is almost like childlike, in that he experiences some trauma very young in life. And I would have liked for her to maybe go into that a little bit more, the author, maybe. But I don't know. He's a very childlike character, so it's hard to, for me, it was really hard to like love him. I struggle with like bad boy characters, so maybe that's just me. I don't know. Sometimes bad boy characters can be so bad boy that it's like you have a hard time getting into it. But that was my main thing, is the development could have been better between Tiernan and Caleb. And then you have to keep in mind there's some trigger warnings in this book. You're dealing with abuse, neglect, death, and you know, if you're someone who doesn't really like, I don't know, the spice in this was a little strange for me, just because it's like, are they family? Are they not family? Like, what, how do they go from doing some stuff to then just not, and then being a normal family again? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's, I'm going to let you come up with your own conclusions on this one. How about that? It's 18 and over for sure. This, I'd give this one, I'm going to give this like 4.5, 5 spice chili peppers. As far as a book, as far as how it's written, if it, you know, plot, all that good stuff, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. Probably not a popular opinion. And I'm not someone who's not into dark romances. I am. This, I don't know. The whole family thing, it was just, I don't know. But that's it. So that's the 2 books. Those are the 2, we'll call them TikTok reads that I've found. And we'll see what else I can get into and what else I can review for you guys. If you liked it, like, subscribe, comment, and please, at least at the very least, comment and let me know if you do this, if you like cast your characters in your mind, because I would love to know if I'm alone in this, or if there's a sea of people out there that do this, who read romance novels, or who read fiction in general. But that's it. That's all I've got. Till next time. Peace.